Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we're working on the 39 Mercury again. So now that I got the fun stuff done with chopping the roof and getting it looking a lot better, I have to go back and tackle some of the mouse damage that we had shown in the first video. So some people were asking in the video why we didn't fix that rust first, and some of the speculation or people that were armchair experts were telling me I was doing it wrong. So the reason I didn't tackle that rust, A, it wasn't so bad that the roof, the integrity of the roof was going to be a problem. B, I already knew that I was reshaping the roof, or a good portion of the roof. So some of that repair that we would have done would have got cut and reshaped or taken out or whatever. So I decided to deal with it after everything's been reshaped. So there's some areas where we welded the roof in and I didn't weld into that inner flange that goes underneath where the garnish molding stuff sits, because I knew we were going to be cutting it out. So we're going to work on today is I'm going to probably cut all of those pieces out. So basically after it goes underneath the gutter where the stainless trim and the garnish and all that stuff bolts to, that flange or ledge is what was rotted pretty bad. The other thing is that the roof, that flange changed in size and shape as it went down the roof, depending on what was bolted there or where it was. And remember, we took a section of that gutter and flange from the bottom of the roof and moved it into the center to stretch the opening. So when you look down that now, it just, on top of it being rusted, it gets bigger, smaller, and just, it's not symmetrical. So what I'm gonna do is just make all that new, so that we're getting rid of the rust, and then we're also gonna make it all one shape and size. So I'm gonna work on getting some metal out, basically put it in the brake, bend it up, use a shrinker stretcher, bead roller to strengthen it, and then we'll cut some pieces out and start welding them in and start taking care of some of the nitty gritty. We're gonna take you on for the process as always. All right, so in the last couple shots, I was making up these parts. As you can see, has a little 90-degree flange on it. This flange goes actually to the inside and is to attach the bows for the headliner eventually. That was another reason they're just remaking this whole thing. Those little tabs for the bows weren't at the right spots because we cut and changed the roof. So this way, when we go to do the headliner stuff, we can just put the bows, the holes for the bows where we want them, and don't have to add little tabs or anything because they're at a different spot. So I just made a simple bead down the center, as you can see, to strengthen it. And now what I'm going to do is match this up here. You can see got it fitting pretty good. The shape and profile is pretty darn good. So what I'm going to do is just get a measurement that is, just take the scribe or calipers or dividers and just run along here and scribe a cut off all the old stuff, and then I'll just butt this up and start tacking it in place, and we'll get it setting in its new home. So we'll work on getting that done. We got all these jagged, rotten pieces, like this particular part of the roof is rotten back in here, where the other one is more rotten up in here. This one is actually not too bad up in here, so it'll be pretty easy to cut and weld and fix all this. But this one is definitely way more rotten in towards the back, so that would be nice to get that taken care of right away. Here we go. There we go. All right, so I got these pieces all welded in. It might be a little hard to see right now, but I got that welded all the way down into there on this side. This side went pretty nicely. It wasn't nearly as bad. I ended up only welding to, trying to find my weld seam, like here, the B-pillar area. The rest of this was all pretty nice on this car, so I opted just to leave it in there and save myself a bunch of work. So I got that all welded in, D8 out, it's good. This side, a little bit more work. This one I welded from here all the way up. I know it's hard to see. I didn't finish out the weld perfectly. And I welded it to about, I have the piece going to about here. You can see the mess we're dealing with. So what I found when I got it welded to maybe here, and then I have it just tacked. What I found is when I got to here, there was body filler when I was looking inside the car from behind, schmutzed in. That's a real word, schmutzed. Pushed in there into this hole here. So this car must have had a mouse nest many years ago and went through a repaint, or I know that the car had definitely some paint work done, but I guess the whole roof was resprayed at some point or something. And they had just pushed body filler into a rot hole that was in there from probably a mouse nest. And I don't know if they pushed it in from here, and I'm guessing they did because the headliner was original and never taken out, but they just pushed it in here, let it harden, sanded it all, and there you go. Bob's your uncle, it's good. So now what has happened over the years, they did not take that mouse nest out, so it sat and rotted further and further. So I basically kind of dug everything out and identified where the rust is, major rust pieces. And yeah, so what we're gonna do is, I have a piece I fabricated here from some leftover bits, and it is just, I think, long enough that we can fit that in there. So I have traced out here where we're gonna cut from here to here, and then we're gonna come up about an inch from the gutter, cut straight across, and then I have that lip right here already cut down so we can weld along that seam, and I can try and hammer and dolly it and finish it. Doing me the best I can, getting in the gutter and in all these corners. I can get weld in there and get it welded really good, but I can't finish it out real good because you just can't get access to it. But anything's better than this rot. This piece down here is like paper thin, and actually I saw before we even chopped the car, I could see that this gutter had like a wave to it down in here, and it actually was pushed up right in here. And I figured there was some issues, but it's a lot bigger than expected. So there we go. There's our excuse why we chopped the car. It wasn't original. Roof was already repainted and had rot in it. So that's our justification. All right, so I got all of the channel pieces all welded in. It was kind of a pain in the butt because some of this area where it was rotted, it was getting very close to the corner, and welding that, and it's kind of thin. It's just tedious. Also, I was like TIG welding in the most awkward position ever, but we got it all done. Some of this area here that I welded up for this repair section for the gutter itself, I couldn't get in with a hammer and dolly as nice as I would like, but again, like I've said 1,000 times, it's getting filler, so it's all in the right realm, and it's just a little bit that will be used there. But the biggest thing is now we have a gutter that's not all like wonky and rotted, and everything got super strong. I know that we were just discussing in the shop here that we had a bunch of comments about people asking about the strength of the roof after chopping it or with the B-pillar. I think a lot of people don't realize that this channel on these Mercuries is like almost, or is 3 inches wide. It's a 3-inch C channel that is also built into the roof and everything. So there is a ton of strength in this area here that I don't think is really a problem. We will definitely think about if there's any bracing that's needed, but this area here is so darn strong, especially with putting that bead that I put in the center of it, like it had from the factory, that I'm not too concerned about having any issues with the roof in my lifetime. Maybe in 90 years it might have a crack or something that could occur, but I don't think it'll have an issue in my lifetime. So, but now we got this all fixed up. I'm gonna try and work on some of the more fun stuff to reward myself for getting done with the very tedious stuff. And we'll do some taillights and some other stuff in future videos. And we're gonna keep working on this thing through the winter so that in the spring we can drive it and it'll be a totally different car and it'll be really cool. So thank you guys for following, appreciate it.